28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff, and this week we are talking about Donnie Darko. We talked a little bit last week about why we picked it for our Halloween episode, but what I did not realize at the time is what a smooth segue it would be from the Scream movies, because not only is Drew Barrymore here, not only is Aunt Kate, Sydney's aunt, here playing the mom, but also it's all about time travel, baby, just like Stab 5.
Oh, man, yeah. There's some direct correlations here, and it's very obvious where they got their inspiration from. Definitely Scream.
Now this makes me really want to know what Stab 5 was about.
Yeah, I will say we were not kind to Stab 5 and the idea of time travel and horror movies, and then immediately played ourselves. I thought it was well done here, but we would like to preface this episode by saying, okay, some people think this movie is really smart, and then other people think it's just like needlessly pretentious. I think it's smart, but Sydney and I watched it together, and we were both so confused until the end. And so I just think that on the record, we should let people know up front, we are just three beautiful idiots doing our best. You know what I mean? So, like, if we sound dumb, it is because we are.
Like, aren't you tired of all of the discourse of this movie where they say, like, really smart, well thought out, like, arguments about the meaning of the entire film? Like, you've heard that before. You read that article, but honey, we're not going to give you any of that. It's going to be jokes about mullets. It's going to be a deep dive into that Smurf reference. It's going to be that kind of stuff. So buckle up.
I did a lot of actual reading because even after we finished the movie, I did not get it. I also watched it at like midnight a little high, so I definitely didn't get it.
Oh, man.
But I watched this movie in middle school because Jake Gyllenhaal was an absolute delicious snack and still is in this movie. And who was I playing myself? 13-year-old me didn't get it. 30-year-old me doesn't fully understand.
Yeah, I watched this movie like bright and early 6 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I got it a lot more than the first time, but still touch and go. Really, honestly, unclear.
It's funny because one of my best friends and I watched it together in middle school, and I don't remember not particularly getting it then, because I remember being like, wow, this is so meaningful, just like when you watch Garden State for the first time. And now when we started watching it, I was like, okay, I don't remember literally anything, because the jet engine falls through his bedroom on like the first day, and I was like, doesn't that happen at the end of the movie? I guess I'm remembering it wrong. And then I just like set myself up for failure from the first moment.
I'm just glad that my brain does not store any information about films. That's what I've learned so far in this podcast. The fact that I forgot who the killer was in Scream 3 in 1 month from watching it is really alarming. So my brain just doesn't value this information at all. That's why it's good we're recording this. So for me later on, it's a personal project.
Honestly,
But
though,
it was a wild ride. I was like, I've never seen this before, but I know I have.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm jealous of that because there are so many things that you love so much, and you're like, I wish I could have the experience of seeing this for the first time, and you get that every time, Monica.
It's beautiful to have, I guess, memory loss. I don't know. But it doesn't always work because like I refuse to watch Cabin in the Woods ever again because I remember every second of it and it's not a surprise anymore. So the mysteries of Monica Hyde's brain are unending.
Fascinating.
What were your thoughts rewatching this movie then, since it was like you watched it for the first time? All of us, like, go.
I fucking loved it. I really, really liked it a lot. I watched it bright and early, so my brain was crisp and ready. And I don't know, I really liked it. Like the soundtrack was fucking amazing. It's fucking stacked cast wise. Like everybody is in this movie.
Even Ashley Tisdale.
Oh, that Ashley Tisdale cameo. I showed her for literally a split second before she gets up to the mic, and I was like, it's Ashley Tisdale.
Yeah, I also, talking to Sydney, I also was like, oh my God, is that Ashley Tisdale? A little frizzy-haired brunette Ashley Tisdale? But I thought it was just a girl who looked like Ashley Tisdale, and I was making a very nice little joke, and then it sure was her.
The joke's on you, because it was her.
Chelsea also thought, because at the beginning I was like, is that Patrick Swayze? And Chelsea's like, no, I think that's just a guy that looks like Patrick Swayze.
Okay, so clearly we've got an issue. I don't know, I just didn't remember him being in this movie.
Dude, neither did I. Okay, one though, I saw his face and I was like, wow, Patrick Swayze is in this movie. But I didn't remember even half of a second of him being in this movie, and he is a key character. So good.
Yes. Should we do our best at explaining what this movie is?
Do we need to? I mean, like, they either know or they don't, right?
No,
You know
but
what?
I think we have to. I think because there's
You go first, Sydney. You give it a try first.
Give it a stab. I don't think it's possible. But
okay. So there's I'm
Sorry,
didn't
Monica,
say
don't
it
laugh.
would be good. I just said I will try.
I believe in you.
I'm gonna mute my mic, so please continue.
So we're supposed to look at it in two different ways. We could either see it at the surface level, where Donnie Darko is supposed to just be a neurotic teenager who it's implied that he's a paranoid schizophrenic, and so that this could just all be in his head. But the more fun things that I was doing research on, because I had no idea what this movie meant at all, is that it's all about time travel and parallel dimensions. And I didn't get it in the first. We watched the not director's cut of this, and apparently the director's cut goes ham about all of this.
But isn't it like 2 hours and 45 minutes long? So hell no. No.
Oh, I would watch that if that had been what popped up on YouTube for us instead of the regular version that they released.
One. But in the book, so in the movie, Grandma Death is a
Love
big
that
part
name.
of the movie.
Oh.
What a metal nickname. I want to be known as Grandma Death.
100%.
Super metal,
I would
and
like
it's
to be Grandma
super-
Death for Halloween.
Oh yeah, just like get an Einstein wig, and I think you'll be set because she looks a little bit like she got hit by lightning, and I like that
Wear a
about her.
robe, a house dress, and a wig, and I am good to go, baby.
So she plays a big part because when we're first introduced to her, she's just kind of the town kook who just constantly is in the middle of the road checking her mail and almost gets hit by cars constantly. And
You gotta
later,
stop doing that.
Yeah, that's not safe. But later, one of Donnie's teachers gives him a book called The Philosophy of Time Travel by Roberta Sparrow, which is Grandma Death. And the book talks about there's 2 dimensions. There's the primary universe and then a tangent universe.
Yes, I am familiar with those terms.
But was this explained in the actual movie? Like,
they got into like portals,
Yeah.
and right time, right place for portals, and needing a spacecraft big enough to transport people or things through the portals. But I
That's what-
don't think they really went any further than that.
Yeah.
okay, that's what I thought because I was reading all these things and I was like, what? Like, what is this talking? And so apparently, the primary universe is the universe that we live in, and the tangent universe is a carbon copy that is formed when there's a glitch in the 4th dimension of time. Are you with me? Are
No.
you with me so far?
But
Good, because I'm
keep going.
still not fully with it myself.
This is stuff that I discuss on the daily with my rocket scientist roommate James. So I'm very well versed, but it's
we
actually
should have had James be a guest. Yeah, he could have been
Monica,
so
go get
smart
him.
to us.
he actually just got back from the market, but I don't think I can blindside him with a guest spot on our podcast. I don't know if he's seen this movie.
Yeah, but he has to know all about tangent universes.
Presumably NASA deals with this stuff every day, right?
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's planes. They know about planes. A plane is like a bootleg spaceship. So
Exactly.
But you know what they say about
same
planes.
thing. You know what they say about planes. You know that age-old saying about planes, the bootleg spaceship.
Okay, speaking of planes, there's a glitch in the 4th dimension.
We can't explain this movie. We just have to.
I'm going to explain it. No, I'm going to explain it. Like,
Okay,
I am going to
okay.
try.
Okay, go. I got you. You're doing great.
There's a glitch that occurs in the 4th dimension of time before the first jet engine crashes into the Darko house that Chelsea thought was at the end of the movie.
It happens both times.
But that's when...
But the end is the beginning.
Exactly. But so that's where Donnie first sees Frank. Like right before the plane engine drops is the first time Donnie sees Frank.
Is that the first time? I know that's the first time we see Frank, but I wasn't sure if they had already been in conversation.
I think it's the first. We know he sleepwalks, but I think this is the first time that he sees Frank.
While he's like awake-ish. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank saved Donnie's life by making him go not be in his house and sleepwalk. And so Frank, while he is away, makes the warning of in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds, the world will end. Right?
Uh-huh.
And apparently, so when the jet engine fell out of the sky, they said they have no idea where it came from.
Yeah, they were like, the serial number burned off, and there's no records of any planes that it would have theoretically belonged to overhead. Certainly not any missing a jet engine.
Mm-hmm.
So that jet engine that dropped on Donnie's house created the tangent universe. And so Frank says they only have 28 days, 28 days, so many hours, so many minutes until the world ends, because tangent universes are highly unstable and can only exist for a few weeks. And eventually
yes,
they will
it's so
collapse.
obvious.
So eventually the tangent universe, because it's unstable, will collapse on itself and it'll form a black hole on the primary universe, which will destroy the original universe.
Then why didn't that happen?
It kind of did.
So apparently the primary universe is on pause because the tangent universe is now the main universe, but it's not the actual main universe.
So what we're seeing is primarily the tangent universe?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Everything that we see is happening in the tangent universe. And
this is just like an alternate universe fan fiction.
Ooh. I can't wait to hear what Chelsea Duff's fan fiction on Donnie Darko would be.
Ooh, there's a lot
I don't have one
to talk about.
Could I improv one on the spot for you? Maybe, but
we'll do that later in the pod. Fanfic corner with Chelsea.
It basically talks about how Donnie is kind of like a chosen one. He has to save the primary universe. And there is the manipulated living and the manipulated dead. And Frank is a manipulated dead because Donnie kills Frank. And so because Donnie kills Frank, Frank is able to be in the time dimension, which is how he can see it. And then his family, Gretchen, the therapist, his teachers, are the manipulated living. And they basically unconsciously get Donnie to where he needs to be so he can save the world. So this is less horror movie and more superhero movie, if you think about it.
I do not follow. I guess where you lost me was
like at the beginning.
No, I was like trotting alongside for a minute there, but I guess I don't like, in the sense that if Donnie is in his bed sleeping peacefully when the jet engine falls and it crushes him, yes, it obviously sets the path of the movie on a radically different course, because he doesn't convince his sister to have the party. He's not with Gretchen. He and Gretchen don't go to Roberta Sparrow's house. Like, Frank doesn't run over her. He doesn't pull out the gun and shoot Frank. I don't really see why any of that would stop the world from ending, though. You know what I mean?
I feel like that was just how Frank explained it to Donnie. Like, I feel like, yeah, maybe in this theory that, like, with a tangential universe, that it could collapse and destroy the entire universe, but I feel like it's more saying, like, there's 28 days, blah, 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 minutes, hours, whatever, until his world ends because he dies. And so it's kind of like preparing him to get in the place to right the wrong of him surviving in the first place. That's how I read it. But I'm
on board with that. I think the other one just gets too high level for me without maybe having seen the director's cut personally. You know, maybe if I saw it, I would be like, okay, I know what you mean. But because I just don't have quite the access to that, I'm unable to fully participate in this discourse.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes kind of sense because they talk about how the living receiver is able to have all these kind of crazy powers, like enhanced strength, how Donnie's able to hack that axe into a solid bronze statue. He's able to conjure fire and water, and he floods the school, and he burns the house down.
Does
And
he conjure those things, or does he just like do them normally?
He brings gasoline.
He brings gasoline, but it's never shown him lighting a match. It's never shown him like starting the water.
Don't we see him in like a dream sequence smashing a pipe, or am I wrong?
He does. You see
so
him.
So isn't that when the flood begins?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm just from my research of what it says in the director's cut. This is how the director says happens in the movie.
I will say the strength that it would take to carry Gretchen all the way home, presumably a driving distance length, that is a lot. So that's super strength to me.
I feel like for me, I like this movie so much because I'm like more apt to suspend my disbelief just in any of these movies, like the logistics of how the killer gets to the place in Scream, like it's not what I'm thinking about, because I'm just like, whoa, but they got there and it was fucking crazy, you know? So this one, like, it didn't make total sense, but I don't know, it was confusing, but I just kind of like went with it. And
one
also
of those things where you just trust that they know what they're doing, and so you don't need to know what they're doing.
Exactly. And like also, if you're thinking of it in the same way that I was just talking about it, where like the end of the world was the end of his world, if that's how it is, like in a more artistic view of this film, like it makes sense, because you can't really motivate someone as much to do all these things that they need to do to get to the end, when like the end is him dying. Like, be like, hey, do all this shit so you die at the end. How about that? Does that sound fun to you? And like, he also already had a bunch of existential dread, so it's not super motivating. Frank makes him feel like he's a superhero, and he does do superhero shit. Like, he makes a beautiful, very sad, moving sacrifice, and we thank him for it.
Okay. What was the scariest part for you of this movie, besides not understanding it?
The scariest part for me was when Donnie Darko is clearly going through a lot of stuff, and his parents just leave him unattended all the time. Like, they just are like, where do you go at night? But they don't really care. They go meet the therapist, and they're like, he might be paranoid schizophrenic, and he is presumably seeing a bunny named Frank that is not really there. And they're just like, okay, we're going to go away for the weekend. That, to me, that's scary.
Well, but doesn't he go, like, the dad goes away for work, and then the mom has to go
for
away.
sparkle motion? Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, your son is obviously going through like a deep thing right now.
Yeah,
like,
and like the therapist,
you don't get it, but come on.
The therapist is even calling and leaving voicemails like, hey, really need to talk to you, super important, super pressing, call me back, like, this is not a good situation, just like trying to let you know this is an emergency. And they're just like, let it go to voicemail.
They're not there though. Then there's no cell phones, because it's set in the 80s, right?
But I'm just saying,
1988.
Were I to be in that position as a parent, I would like to think that I would maybe be a little more hands-on. I do feel like his mom loved him so much, and
she was so sweet.
When Sid and I were watching, Sydney was like, yeah, but everybody got left alone in the 80s and the 90s. Like, that was such a latchkey kid moment. And I was like, okay, that is true. Like, maybe it just literally didn't occur to them, like, do not leave your troubled son home alone, when his therapist thinks that he could be at risk of harming himself or others.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm also not a mental health professional, so like, that's what, I don't know.
I know, but I feel like Rose, Donnie's mom, is super sweet and supportive of him. I feel like obviously they dip out the worst possible time, but like when Donnie says like how's it feel to have a wacko for a son, and she just looks at him with these brimming eyes and she's like, it feels wonderful. I was like, a single tear.
Yeah.
She's also hella cool because she was reading It by Stephen King,
Yeah,
and we love to see that.
we love her. The two scariest things for me, one, how watching this movie that was made in 2001 but was set in 1988 be so freakishly accurate for what is happening in current day 2020.
Oh, hell yeah. Very prescient about the politics and the political situation we would be in now, where Maggie Gyllenhaal is like, I'm voting for Dukakis, and the dad is like, you're gonna damn us all to tax bracket hell.
Exactly.
Oh
And
my god.
there's like there's on top of all of the, is it mental illness? Is it parallel universes? There's also a lot of politics and religion like undercurrent in this movie that I did not get at 13.
Mm-hmm.
Because at 13 I was like, who's Dukakis? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
did I even know this time around?
Word?
Not super. I just knew that George H.W. No, this is what election?
Yeah, this is
Yes, George H.W. Bush, because I was thinking 1992 for a second, but that's Bill Clinton. But yeah, there were definitely some scary political moments that I thought were mostly handled like my family handles them now. So I guess that's fun.
terrifying.
But there
I
was
had
a
literal
moment.
moratorium on politics in my household, so that conversation would not have
That's
happened at all.
nice. My mom tries to do that, but I cannot be stopped. So that's fun for all of us. We love it in our household. But yeah, there were a lot of interesting political moments, and then there was a moment where we saw an American flag hanging in Donnie's room, and I was like, "Oh no, is he a Republican?" But I think he's just a libertarian, you guys.
Glad we sorted that
His
out.
country, you know, just
He
Another
loves his country and Marilyn Monroe on equal levels, which is why he needs to look at them as he's laying down in his bed. I'm not jerking off while looking to the American flag. I don't know about you guys, but
That's weird that you don't do that.
I don't love my
every
country as
American
much as
did
you,
that.
I guess.
I thought every American was mandated to do that.
I don't know. I was seeing a guy who had a giant American flag cover his wall. So, you know, I guess I have done my patriotic duty.
Good for you.
God. Okay, well, let's before we get super, super, super deep, let's talk about the people who are in this fucking movie, because that makes me feel less confused because I recognize them all, and that made me feel safe.
The only safe space is the cast of the movie.
Yeah, I gotta say, I remembered young Jake Gyllenhaal being a little bit hotter, but also when I last saw this, I too was a dweeby little teen, and so he looks more like that, and so it makes sense that I was so down. But like this Jake Gyllenhaal cannot compare to Brokeback Mountain Jake Gyllenhaal,
Sure.
and that's the Jake Gyllenhaal that lives rent free in my head and I see in my dreams every night. So,
But that
I was
Jake
hoping for more of
Gyllenhaal,
that.
that Jake Gyllenhaal is created to be horny. You know what I mean? Like this Jake Gyllenhaal was created to be having a bit of a breakdown as he does his best. So,
But also very horny still,
yeah,
because he's a
super
teenager.
horny. He literally almost jerks it in front of his therapist, which was a scene that scared me. Maybe that's it. To answer your question, that was the scene that scared me the most, when he put his hand down his pants in front of his therapist while he was doing hypnotherapy.
just an IMDb side note about that moment. Apparently, Jake Gyllenhaal was so good at being in character on set and being committed to his performance that the director wanted to keep that scene running and not call cut and see where it went. But then he was like, Jake Gyllenhaal will 100% jerk it on camera. So he stopped it before it could go that far.
Wow, he did a Robert Pattinson before Robert Pattinson did a Robert Pattinson.
He originated it. That's really just alarming, and I'm glad it didn't happen. Okay, who else is in this movie? I, for one, was just blown away by the fact that his real life sister was in it with him, because I didn't remember that Maggie's in it too.
And she looks
She's
so
so
hot.
pretty
She's
in this
so
movie.
hot in this movie. Like,
And there's a moment where she wears like plaid pants and leather jacket, and I was like, okay, well that's it for the gay quota. Like, there we go.
Okay, I have a question about this. So, is Frank supposed to be her boyfriend?
I don't think so. I think he's just a guy at the party.
yeah.
I don't like he's not the guy that dropped her off when she snuck in the night.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that-
would love for that to be
that's
the
a really
case.
good question, because we do see that
Also-
car driving away as Donnie's walking home.
Yes, like so I
Oh.
think Frank is her boyfriend.
Damn. That makes it all the
Wh-
more intense, and also,
No,
God, that's
so-
a hot couple.
Oh, I know.
But to me, Maggie Gyllenhaal was gay, and so perhaps Frank was just her nice himbo support, emotional
Frank is
himbo
a
support.
himbo.
And
Sure.
he's okay. He's 100% a himbo because he's so hot. So
He's
that,
so
you know,
hot.
does
Oh.
he respect women? He does run over Gretchen with the car, but that's not on purpose, you know. So I don't know. I don't think that's disqualifying.
And then his like spooky ghost or whatever does so much to try to right his wrongs, you know? So he's a great guy, loves women, loves to not kill them, and does everything he
Yeah,
can
really
to make it not
invents-
happen.
Invents time travel so that he will have not harmed a woman. So
Yeah.
that's
We
Okay,
love
but
to see
also
it.
I think Frank is 100% hotter with the bullet through his eyeball.
important
Then-
discourse.
Not.
I gotta say that I would be there with you if it was more bloody, but what they did with it is they like added to his eye, so it was like puffed up with the bullet in there, and that was disturbing to me at
I don't know.
7:45 in the morning when I saw it.
I was into it.
You
I was
would
like,
be.
I'm here for this. I could get down with this.
Sydney's
I don't
like, "Oh my
know.
God, it's the first blood of the entire movie. Finally, I've waited an hour and 45 minutes for this moment.
This is all that I get. I must enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know if he was hotter with the bullet or not. I just know that we first saw him with the bullet already there, and Sydney and I both went, "Ooh, he's hot." So
I did not realize he was hot until he got his eyeball back. So
Well,
that's where we
what's wrong with
diverged.
you?
I was too distracted by the eyeball.
Monica, are you blind?
Jeez, I mean, not as blind as he was, but anyway.
Oh,
Ooh, she did it. Okay, I'm still not done talking about the cast because there's
Okay,
someone
continue.
who's in this cast that. Well, okay, first, before I do that, Patrick Swayze is in this movie, much
Mhm.
to the disbelief of Chelsea.
still not on board. Can't convince me. Just kidding. You can, because I watched the rest of the movie.
So the most important person who is in this movie is the wonderful lady who plays Kitty. Kitty is horrifying, but this actress is near and dear to my heart. It's Beth Grant, and the reason she's near and dear to my heart is because I went to high school, Chelsea and I did, with her daughter, and I saw her like all through high school all the time, and then I saw this movie, and it really changed everything for me because she truly knocks it out of the park on this movie, like next level unhinged. Like, I believed it.
Yeah, Beth Grant is one of those actors, and her husband both, Michael Chifo as well. They're those actors who are in a little bit of everything, like one episode
Literally
of everything.
everything.
So you've seen them 1,000,000 times, even if it didn't register necessarily. But this is one of her most iconic roles, and I also forgot she was in this movie until she was on my screen. And then I was like, wait, is this Commitment to Sparkle Motion? Because that line is one of those things that has just like pervaded the culture of all things, you know what I mean? It's become
So
divorced
true.
from this movie because it's so iconic. And I
And
would
she-
wear a I sincerely doubt your commitment to Sparkle Motion t-shirt, you know?
Oh, I 100% would. And that was I will say the only thing that I remembered about this movie going back into it, two things. I remember Jake Gyllenhaal and I remembered that Beth is in it and it was the Sparkle Motion movie. That's all that stuck with me. So thank you. You've surpassed my movie brain, Beth. You really killed it. But Kitty has just so many iconic lines in this movie. Like when she's getting Sparkle Motion ready for their performance, and she's like, okay, now girls, I want you to concentrate. Failure is not an option. And Bethany, if you feel the need to vomit up there, just swallow it. Ah, we love a stage mom.
I think Kitty might actually be the scariest part of this movie. Her character is terrifying because she's so many people. Like so many people are like her.
Oh yeah.
And it's truly scary.
Especially this scene with the PTA where she's like, I'm the only one who's really qualified to be speaking at this PTA because I am both P and T. And
I am the bridge.
Yeah, and you can't read this book because it's inappropriate. And it's just like, all right, lady, let our children read or what? I don't know, whatever.
Let our children read.
I bailed halfway through that declaration.
There's that scene where she is teaching the class, and on the big chalkboard, it's just a line graph, and one end says love, and one end says fear, and she makes them read situations and is put an X on where this, falls on the spectrum. And Donnie is having none of it. He's like, you can't solve complex issues with this bullshit.
This is binary. Bullshit.
Yeah. And she's like, no. Like, it's this black and white. You're either everything, fear is a big running theme through this movie because Patrick Swayze, all his motivational speaking is, you must overcome your fear. But with Kitty, Donnie Darko literally just tells her to shove a book up her ass.
He tells her to shove the lifeline cards up her ass because she has that iconic line once his parents have been called into the principal's office where she's like, he asked me to forcibly insert the lifeline cards into my anus, which apparently made everybody laugh on set, so they had to cut real quick.
She just delivers that line. God, she delivers that line. The way she enunciates anus is just so fucking funny. And I love that the dad laughs at it.
The dad is so funny. But I would like to say about the fear-love spectrum, what I think is particularly frustrating about it is that, she's not presenting it in columns. She's presenting it as if it's a spectrum, but I suspect that she would not accept if you marked something right in the middle. She's like, it's one or the other. There's no mixture, which is like, okay, then lady, you have presented your class with the wrong setup on your chalkboard.
I just also think it's just, her character is so frustrating and so terrifying, like we were saying, because she is using her position as she's gym teacher, right? Like, when she's not being gym teacher, she's trying to ban books. And then when she is being gym teacher, she is literally, shoving, crazy propaganda down the throats of the children. It is not vetted at all. It's just Patrick Swayze. I know he's hot, but, come on. You can't trust him.
It once more feels very 2020 where you would have some educator being like, they're trying to teach the kids to be leftists in our school and make them into little communists, so we need to teach them about God's fear and God's love based on this program, and then it turns out the program is run by a child predator. That 100% is something that would happen in this election cycle.
No, seriously, it's way too fresh feeling. Ugh.
And then how, even though she finds out that he's a child predator, she's willing to still testify for him.
And that's why the mom has to leave her son, who needs her presence, alone, where he can throw a party, get a gun, shoot somebody in the face, like just a lot of things happening while she's away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and also like forcing her to go on this trip, and on that trip, her and her daughter fucking die in that timeline because the plane they're in blows the fuck up. Like, Jesus Christ.
Okay. All of these people are the manipulated living.
We're not going back down this road. No,
Yeah, I mean, it's too much for us, I think.
Ixnay
Our little brain.
on the manipulated living. No. What's something else we could talk about? Let's talk about the Smurf scene. That's something more in my pay grade.
Okay, I will
I did like
very
the
quickly.
asexuality discourse of the
Yes.
Smurfs.
In terms of
that was such a good
where
quote.
can every movie be gay or asexuality, that's on the LGBTQIA spectrum, baby.
Only this time it's brought to you by the Smurfs.
And I love that Donnie just like fucking knows this shit. He like gives him this lecture like, you fucking idiots. Papa Smurf didn't create Smurfette. Gargamel did. Oh, duh.
What's really crazy is that they wanted to have a Smurf plushie at one point where they were like shooting it at their little hangout spot for fun target practice, I guess.
Love
So
it.
they called the Smurf people to like get the rights for that, and I think they got them, but they didn't end up using the plushie because I don't remember seeing it. But they
No.
also ran this asexual discourse by them as well with Gargamel and does Smurfette fuck and etc. etc. And they were like, well, it sure is all accurate. So they were like on
Green-lit
board
by
with it.
Smurf Incorporated.
They're like, they're saying Smurfette doesn't fuck, so this is still family friendly.
It's canon now,
It's
baby.
not tarnishing the brand. I like also that Donnie kind of like throughout the whole movie is like kind of nice when every other man in this movie is a piece of trash, garbage, shithole. Like those bullies, what are their names? The
Seth
guy with
Rogen
the
and-
fucking
Sydney and I called him Evil Joe Jonas.
Oh, he
Yes.
did look like Evil Joe Jonas. Evil Joe Jonas with the worst mullet that has ever existed. Oh, God, it was atrocious.
The actor who played Evil Joe Jonas, you know the song California.
I love that
Here we
song.
come.
Don't tell
He's
me.
the lead singer of the band.
No, he's not.
I thought you
Yeah,
said
he
that
is.
while we were watching. I thought that was a joke.
That's a joke. What's his
I don't
name?
know why, because like, what's the basis for that to have a punchline? I guess, but I was just like, good one, and
There's
I
no
moved on
joke.
with my life.
I am just.
Monica's face right now.
I need to find his name. I don't believe you. I don't want to believe you. What the fuck? Oh my God.
You know,
Okay,
it
well,
certainly
I'm never
doesn't
gonna think
help
about
that we
this
called
same
him Evil Joe Jonas because now we don't know his name.
His name is Evil Joe Jonas, and that's just it. Is it Sean Smith? in the
It sure
movie?
could be, and I wouldn't know.
Huh?
But I like how he's just doing cocaine in the middle of the school hallway. Very 80s.
What an iconic intro to the movie. When they're in the freaking school and he just does the blow right then and there. I'm like, wow, how does she not notice this? Like, Kitty's walking down the hallway with her eagle eye, giving death glares to everyone, but she just happens to not see Evil Joe Jonas, like, with his Coke spoon.
Maybe she's
But-
too pure. Maybe she doesn't know what drugs look like.
That checks out for me.
Seth Rogen was the other bully, and this is his first credited film role.
And what's
And
his
his-
first line?
I love boobies.
Incredible, iconic. But
Relatable.
there's no room to go up from there. That is where his career peaked. It has been downhill since. Not to say that it's been bad, because I a little bit stand for Seth Rogen. But
Oh,
can you
I
get
love
better?
Seth Rogen.
No.
You can't.
No, this was perfect. He's so funny in this role, and also seems kind of out of place. Or
Yeah.
is that just me? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe because now he's so famous,
Yeah.
it's like it's very alarming and startling to
It was
see him
jarring.
in this movie. Yes,
And
it was
also
like
because his persona is so like chill, laid back, things happen to me, I don't do things kind of guy, that it felt weird to have him take on an active role as a bully, sexually harassing Gretchen and being a dick to Sharita, who deserves better than this movie has to offer. Just felt wrong for him to step into that place. But again, maybe if we went in blind and had no knowledge of who Seth Rogen is, that would have hit. But just as somebody who is very aware of Seth Rogen, it was a bit of a miss for me. But do you know who's actually on point is Drew Barrymore throughout this movie. And also, this movie like would not have happened without Drew Barrymore.
Seriously, it would have gone straight to DVD unless she was added on.
Instead, it's like a cult smash. It was one of those things, like we said, where in middle school everybody's like, it's so deep, like you have to watch it. And I stand by that as an adult.
Deep,
Although
too deep,
like
for
some
me.
of those movies don't stand up, you know what I mean, where it's like it meant so much to you when you were younger and now you're just like, it's a normal movie, like I'm entertained, but I'm not gonna be like writing in my diary about it. I also wouldn't, I was gonna say I wouldn't write in my diary about Donnie Darko, but I don't have a diary, just to be clear. But it didn't
Okay, sure.
it didn't inspire any fanfic takes. Although I did, okay, while we're still tangentially talking about the cast, one of our ever-present questions that hasn't come up as much yet because we've only talked about the Scream movie so far and Matthew Lillard is already in the Scream franchise, so it's hard to be like, where would Matthew Lillard be in this movie? But now that we're not talking about the Scream franchise, where would Matthew Lillard be in this movie?
Oh, yeah, he could have been Evil Joe Jonas or Seth Rogen and would have been more believable for me.
He was like 30 in 2001.
He would have been.
So he would have been a little
He would
old
have been
for high
Okay,
schooler.
no. When we do this question, it's not based on time and space. It's based on hot young Matthew Lillard and where he goes, or older Matthew Lillard if he would so fit in. Doesn't have
It's
to work with
any
reality.
age range of
okay.
Matthew Lillard.
We
So this
choose
is your fanfic
Scream
moment.
Matthew Lillard, and Scream Matthew Lillard would have been a wonderful Evil Joe Jonas.
Sydney,
I'm
your
still trying to
suggestion.
find his name.
Sydney, your suggestion was so good, though. Actually,
He would have been the science teacher that helped Donnie Darko learn about time travel and give him the book so he can learn all about that. Like adult Matthew Lillard would have been amazing in that role.
that's true, and he was old enough at the time to do that because I originally wrote in my notes no space for Matthew Lillard here, TBH. But I take it back because that's the perfect space for Matthew Lillard, and then we would also see him opposite Drew Barrymore because they're a little teacher couple, and I think I would have liked that.
Hot. That was a hot pairing, by the way.
The teacher,
Yeah, they
whoever
did look
he
good
is,
together.
he did a good job. You know,
His name was Noah something.
good for him. Not a particularly standout role, but it didn't need to be. But
Noah
you're right. I
Weil.
think Matthew Lillard would have slotted right in there.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard would have made a great manipulated living.
Oh, I really just
Moving on.
to not do that.
You can't. That's what this movie's about. You can't move on from
stated
this.
once in the actual film, and we did not watch the director's cut. So moving on, my first big conundrum with this movie had nothing to do with the plot. It was that I couldn't believe that Drew Barrymore is older than Jake Gyllenhaal because I really thought that they were the exact same age, and I could not understand how she could possibly believably portray his teacher. It didn't make any fucking sense to me. And then I googled it, and they're like she's 6 years older than him, and my mind was blown.
Which I guess kind of makes sense. She could be a young teacher. This could be like a Teach for America situation. This could be maybe she's in grad school. This seems like it's like they've got uniforms. It could be a Catholic school or some kind of Christian school. You know what I mean? If you're a private school, you don't have to have like any kind of teaching degree. You just have to get hired.
Yeah, and Kitty even makes a stab at her or jab at her and says, "You need to go back to grad school" at one point. So maybe she just graduated. Who knows?
Yeah, she's a little baby bean.
I did for 1 second get English teacher vibes from her, and I really liked that. But then I remembered she was in a relationship with the other teacher, and I was like, "That's fine, I guess. As long as we have Maggie Gyllenhaal, that's fine."
I think Kitty is the gay
Kim is
one.
the gay
She's just
representation. Oh my God,
repressed.
no.
She's the PE teacher.
Is she that repressed?
Yes, that's why she's so angry.
She's like, I used to be
Checks
gay.
out.
You don't have to do it.
Exactly.
That was when I had fear in my heart.
And now I have Jesus's love.
And Patrick Swayze.
Boo. Absolutely boo.
Boo. Oh, can't stand her.
Okay, but back to Drew Barrymore. Can we talk about what would you have done if it is your first day in class and your teacher calls you out by saying, yeah, just sit next to whichever boy you think is the cutest? I would have simply passed away.
She said that and I was like, you should not be a teacher.
Maybe they were right to fire Drew Barrymore.
I was like, that book is fine. This, absolutely fucking not. If my teacher said that to me, I would just like, I'd be like, I'm switching schools.
Especially like no seats open, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So they're like, get out of there, Janet. I'm sitting down next to Donnie. Like, okay, that makes it even more awkward.
It sets Gretchen up to be Donnie's love interest, which obviously we need because she has to die for him to realize that he's willing to sacrifice his own life to save everybody else manipulated living.
Oh my God. Oh God.
Is
Okay.
there a way for us to mute your microphone? Do you know if that's an option? I would like to look into that. Is it possible for me to kick you out of the recording session? Oh my God. But okay, I love Jenna Malone was so good in this, and she's
so
cute, and she's so haunted. She has such a shitty life in this movie. So
Oh my God, it's so bad.
oh my God. So when she died, I like forgot what happened at the very end. So when she like got ran over by the motherfucking car, I was like, does she know nothing but pain her whole existence? It was so dark. Like it's like this movie gets depressing, y'all. It really does. But it's beautiful, right? It's art.
Yeah, Sydney and I were both so taken aback by that moment because it seemed like it couldn't be real. It just came so out of nowhere. We were both like, did she just get run over? Like it took a second to process that was truly what our eyes had shown us on the screen and was not its own tangent universe. Now I'm doing it. But
no.
Also, it distracted me so much that I completely forgot that there had ever been a gun in play until he whipped it out. And then I was like, oh my God, a gun! And
which is Frank telling him he needed a gun, which is the manipulated dead.
I need you to stop. That was the part. Here's the way that I describe it. That was the part when that cool bubble tube came out of his chest, and he was like, "What's this cool bubble tube? I'm gonna follow it around." And then he found a gun. What a cool thing at the end of this tube. You know, you should think about it like me. I was like, wow, it looks like one of those fun, those big giant bubble sticks, and you run
the big bubble wands.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
No, I'm fully in on manipulated living, manipulated dead.
That's very nice for you.
Tangent universes, baby. How do we know that we're not living in a tangent universe during this whole 2020?
We sure don't, but we don't have time to get into that right now.
You were entering me into a deep depression from this conversation.
I would like to talk about two things. The first thing I would like to talk about is how they all ride bikes everywhere. Yes. That felt very Stranger Things, which is also 80s. Did truly everybody in the 80s have a bike and ride it all the time? And my second thing is, do you agree that cellar door is the most beautiful phrase in the English language?
Okay, for your first one, in my notes, the third bullet point that I made said, he's biking. We love to see it. So I was very interested in the cycling aspect of this film as a cyclist myself. So I won't go down that road because then everyone will unsubscribe because cyclists talking about cycling is the most mind-numbing thing that exists.
Yeah, it's already been going on for too long,
I'm
honestly.
sorry, okay,
I can
but
cut it.
moving on.
It's fine.
Now cellar door.
Cellar door is just like I'm getting that tattooed like tramp stamp right above my butt crack. It's just beautiful.
That's
Apparently
a
that
butthole
comes
tattoo.
Above my
Did you say butthole tattoo?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it tattooed around my butthole.
Like in a ring around your butthole?
Yeah, me and Monica's boyfriend have been contemplating getting butthole tattoos for a while.
This is like
And this
a
is the
common
one?
discourse. I don't think that you should do it. I think you should go with Eat, Pray, Love.
That was my original idea.
I can't believe it's episode 5 and we've already brought up butthole tattoos. I really
Hi,
hope
I have
my
a
family
blood
doesn't
kink.
listen to this.
Hi, Dad. He knows. He knows.
He does.
Hi, I have a blood kink and I want to get a butthole tattoo that says Eat, Pray, Love.
Put that on
Good
your
for you,
resume.
Sydney. You're nobody but your own authentic self in public, on the record, everywhere you can be. I applaud you.
But okay, I don't know the context of the cellar door thing. But it kind of grew on me. At first I was like, okay, Drew Barrymore, like you're obviously going through it right now because you just got fired and we understand. But also it's not that cool. But then say it a few times. Cellar door. Cellar door. Doesn't that sound beautiful?
So
wow.
she says it, and then Donnie thinks about it at the Halloween party. And so he is like, we have to go see Grandma Death. And they go to the cellar door. And that's where they run into Evil Joe Jonas and Seth Rogen. And that's how Gretchen gets killed. Manipulated living.
Anyway, yes, okay. Apparently, this cellar door thing is a real thing, though. They didn't just make it up for this movie. It's like, am I gonna, Lord of the Rings author? Not gonna say his name because thank you. I don't want to. I'm gonna move on. Yes, apparently that is like his thing. And it's just that, like, sonically, it's beautiful, not necessarily the meaning of the words or anything like that. I did get stuck on that for a good amount of the movie, but I did write in my notes, cellar door at Grandma Death's house. So, and then he also says Deus Ex Machina. Donnie says it at one point, and I was like, okay, we're just really getting literary here. We're jumping right on in.
It's a smart movie, okay?
They sure did their research, unlike me. Sydney did a lot of reading. I just read the IMDb trivia section and then I move on with my life.
That's exactly same.
Maybe I'll stop doing the reading if y'all are just gonna say moving on.
I just am unable to engage with it on the level that you've engaged with it, you know what I mean? Because this is the kind of homework I need to do myself. It's not like when you don't read Heart of Darkness in high school, but you're kind of listening to what everybody else is saying, so you just repeat it, but you use synonyms for every word that they've used, so that you're like, I have something to contribute, and my teacher will give me a participation point. But I didn't really do the homework. Like this one, I can't just be like, this is the changed people, like it's just like I can't. It's
Changed
not as
people.
It doesn't work. I can't.
Manipulated living, Chelsea.
That's why I'm saying I can't just be like synonym because it just sounds dumb and like I don't know what I'm talking about.
So you're saying that you didn't go on like a 7-hour rabbit hole on the internet about all of the time travel? about
I
this
sure did
movie.
not.
I think that you should commemorate your commitment to this horrible phrase by getting it tattooed around your asshole. Manipulated living.
Eat,
That's
pray,
the
love,
one.
manipulated living.
It's gotta be one or the
Do
other.
eat, pray, love on your belly button, and then do manipulated living on your beehole. And that way, when people are in the neighborhood, you can actually be like, "Hey, well, if you're curious, I have this podcast, and it'll be great promo."
While you're down there, let me tell you about these articles that I read about the classic,
While
the
you're down
instant
there.
classic Donnie Darko. The
Because
seminal
backdoor
classic.
guests are best.
Oh,
I've got a
Jesus
podcast.
Christ. Oh no. Let's talk about something else. Didn't we love the soundtrack of this movie?
I did actually. I did have notes about the soundtrack. I'm going to seize this opportunity. I loved that they opened with The Killing Moon, and I loved that they closed with Mad World.
Oh,
And then I
Oh.
hated that I read on IMDb that originally they wanted to use U2's MLK in the final scene, and it was only
Fuck
because
that.
they didn't get the rights that they substituted the Gary Jules cover of Tears for Fears' Mad World. And I was just like, "What? How could it have ended any other way?" You know
No.
what I mean?
yeah. If
No, the ending is
Did it been
so
a fucking
haunting.
U2 song? Are you kidding me? I know U2 was still kind of cool
Absolutely.
in 2001,
I-
but
well,
No, U2
would not have
died
passed the vibe
after
check.
U2 died after they put an album on everybody's iPods.
Just the least cool thing you could possibly do.
super uncool, man. Bono, dude. Big party foul.
Actually, just while we're on, I was gonna do a bad transition and I stopped myself. I'm glad. While we're talking about IMDb trivia, this is a new transition. Sydney and I were talking during the movie, being like, when did this come out? Because it comes out in 2001. Obviously, it's about a plane crash, sort of.
Oh.
So you can kind of see where this is going.
Mhm.
I looked it up while we were watching, and IMDb was like, it came out in January 2001. And I was like, okay, cool. So, like, they didn't have to confront any 9/11 stuff because that was 8 months later. No, wrong. This movie came out like a month after 9/11. It came out in October. Like, maybe it originally premiered in January at whatever Film Fest. But
Sundance.
yes, they changed a lot of things. Like, they changed a lot of the promo for the movie,
Mhm.
which had been, I guess, using an Arabic style font and kind of focusing on the plane crash aspects of the film. And so they pulled like so much of the promo in the month before the film was supposed to come out, which is why it was also kind of a late in the game sleeper hit, because once they didn't have any other like marketing materials to substitute, you know what I mean? They were
Yeah.
kind of in a scramble, and so they just didn't have a lot of stuff, so nobody went to see it in the
like
theaters.
pegged opening weekend, right?
And also, because this came out in 2001, we were only, again, a couple years removed from Columbine.
Columbine always comes up.
It does. We gotta pick another movie not from the late 90s, early 2000s next. So
We'll just move to 2004, which is when every movie that matters came out.
okay, but because you have a high school student shooting another high school student, it was a huge, huge thing, even, years removed from Columbine. Why does Columbine keep coming up?
I regret going down this path.
Okay. So there isn't many to choose from. There's only 3, so each one of us could take a swing at this. But who was your favorite death in this movie?
I feel like there's like 4 deaths, not 3. Because the mom,
Break them down, Monica.
the mom and the daughter die in the plane.
The whole plane.
The whole plane.
Okay, so there's
Like,
multiple
yeah,
deaths.
The mom
My bad.
and the daughter, like, we know who they are. And then Frank, and then Gretchen, and then Donnie.
Donnie. Okay, so 5 deaths.
5
I wasn't
deaths.
counting the mom and the
Yeah, I don't.
daughter.
That one just made me like really, really extra fucking sad. So I was just like, wow. So them dying opened a wormhole that will somehow kill their son. So terrible. That was not my favorite death. That one made me sad, cry.
Just a real trolley problem of an issue.
Oh,
You know
for
what I
real.
mean?
Don't
I like
go down that
Gretchen's
road either.
death.
Gretchen, oh.
It was just so unexpected. Like, I wasn't, like, and I'm not saying I enjoyed her death. Like, her dying was very sad because her and Donnie were so sweet together. But like Chelsea said, we both were like, did she just get run over by a car?
It was so shocking.
And then
And I also just like 100%, though I saw this before, was blindsided that Frank was driving the car. I was like, what? And then when he got shot, I guess that's my favorite death. When Donnie shoots Frank right in the eyeball, I was like, why did I not see this coming? I have literally seen this. But I was just so sad because I had just realized how hot he is. And I was just thinking, he's so hot. He's so beautiful. He looks like Johnny Depp and the guy who plays the guy in Hook, who is super hot, Ralphio. Kind of a little bit. You know what I'm talking about?
Ralphio?
Rufio shit.
Ralphio?
I'm so sorry. That was really bad.
You mean Dante, who also voices Zuko in Avatar The Last Airbender?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Monica, you didn't know?
No. Wow. Everything about this is so hot. So all of these hot thoughts were going through my mind. I was like, that's hot. It's hot that he made this whole bunny suit from scratch. Like, that's hot. I love Halloween.
He made a furry suit. Furries are hot.
Furries are hot. I'm like, hot. And then boom, he's shot in the eyeball. Horrible. I mean, I guess it's my favorite, but it was my least favorite too. All the deaths in this movie just were sad. Just so sad.
Yeah, these weren't fun deaths like some horror movie
tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would also say that my favorite was Gretchen's death because it was such an oh my god moment. I will say my least favorite death was the death of Sharita Chen's self-esteem throughout this film. That really crushed me. And I think they're just so needlessly cruel to her at every moment, and it's just one of those things that is just will break your little heart.
Seriously, her interpretive dance was gorgeous. She looked beautiful, and I loved
just
it.
a sweet little thing.
And everyone was so cruel. We love you, Sharita.
Also, the death of Drew Barrymore's career, you know, when she just like goes out on the field and screams, like I felt that. That and really
Sharita
resonated
like,
with me.
Yeah,
and then Sharita's just right there. I was like, oh, classic Sharita.
Wrong place, wrong time, always. It's terrible.
She's just being Sharita, guys. It's fine.
But, you know, Donnie has love for her and he stands up for her and he tells her that everything's going to be better. And when she runs away, he wears her earmuffs afterwards.
Oh, that was so sweet.
I like that he stood up to all the bullies all the time. He was like, shut the fuck up to everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you, Donnie.
Absolutely.
Someone needs to do that.
Yeah, Donnie was not here for it.
There were a lot of really good moments throughout this movie in general. Like, did the major plot points go over my head? Sure, they kind of did. But was I enjoying the ride at pretty much every moment? I sure was. Like, I love Frank's discordant voice when he's in the delusions. I love Grandma Death's hair, very hair metal. I loved seeing that iconic moment that has been a meme that is currently circulating where the therapist is like, is your friend real or imaginary? I loved, you know, just like Donnie was so nice about Samantha's poem. I wrote in my notes that if Gretchen's mom can survive being stabbed in the chest 4 times, then so can Hallie in Scream 2. You know, it just gave me a lot of gifts. Also, he asked her to be his girlfriend so fast, and she is just like, sure. Like, I would love that to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
Did that
do I
happen
want to
in
date?
high school?
No. That was very middle school to me. But also,
I
I
didn't
feel
have
like
boyfriends in middle school, so I don't know what that's
I
like.
didn't have
I
boyfriends
had
till
one boyfriend.
college, so no one asked me to
Oh,
go
I
with
was
them.
the slutty one then. I had a
I had
boyfriend in middle school,
I had a
but it was
boyfriend.
just like you didn't look at each other or speak really. You just existed as boyfriend and girlfriend until somebody broke you up.
I had a boyfriend every year of high school, but I
Okay.
truly
All right.
Rub
All
it
right.
the
Hot
fuck
girl
in
shit.
then. Okay.
I truly don't remember how we started dating. So I'm just assuming it was like, did they just walk up to me and be like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, yeah, sure. Is that how it starts? Like, I don't remember.
Not to my recollection, other than middle school, where somebody would AIM you and be like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And you would be like, yeah. And then that was it. That was the whole interaction. You would never speak again until you broke up. Maybe even it wasn't even you who said yeah on AIM. It was your friend who was over at your house and you only discovered it later, but you're like, well, I'm in this relationship now, so I'm just gonna ride it out.
I was
guess
ugly in
didn't
middle
miss
school.
out.
Nobody wanted to date me.
That wasn't my experience, just to be clear. That was somebody else's experience. I was in my relationship in the 6th grade on purpose. But again,
True love.
we hold hands? No, we didn't touch.
No, you can't touch.
So pure.
Which is kind of what happens here, though, because they are like going together, but also they don't kiss for so long. And Donnie keeps trying to kiss, which is like also relatable. I would love to kiss. And then she's like, no, we have to wait for the perfect moment where it will remind me that there are beautiful things in this world instead of just this man in a red tracksuit who's staring at us from 10 feet away.
What was that about?
It was unsettling.
He was okay, according to IMDb. He was. Sydney. I'm surprised this didn't come up in your reading.
Here's the thing, it did, but I don't believe it.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently,
Tell
he
me.
was like a government agent who was surveilling the family because he was like, "This is such a mysterious." I mean, it doesn't really make sense that he thought that they had anything to do with a jet engine dropping on
Falling
their
on their
house and
house.
smushing their room. Like, don't know how they would orchestrate that.
They're
But he was
obviously
like, "We're gonna
Russian
keep tabs
spies.
just in case."
That's stupid.
Yeah, trust me, I read in my discourse rabbit hole, I read that and I was like, that's dumb. Back to tangent for universes.
I'm glad I didn't read that article.
Okay.
Oh, Monica, I'm
Yeah.
gonna send you
No,
all
I'm
of
not,
them.
I'm not.
And
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna
close my
have
eyes.
click
I'm
it.
gonna close my
Discord.
eyes.
No.
I'm gonna close my
I will
eyes.
read it to you.
No, I won't be seeing you
You
then.
wish that you could. Sydney's like, I'm in LA now. Now that I've traveled here, I'm gonna just show up and whisper it into your ear as you sleep. And guess what?
Damn it.
Maybe you could. I don't know if I could stop you, but I'm a really deep sleeper, so it's not gonna do anything.
I wear earplugs, motherfucker, so nice
I could
try.
take them out in your sleep.
I'll wake up and I'll punch you.
Anyway, I will say I did love the stealing gems stuff that went on, where it like happens in the short story that Drew Barrymore assigns, where they talk about how they went to steal the money and then they burned it to be ironic, and then the science teacher, maybe when he's talking about Roberta Sparrow, is like kids used to try and steal gems from Grandma Death. And that's what Evil Joe Jonas and Seth Rogen are doing at the end of the movie. They're trying to, well, I don't know if they're trying to steal gems or other precious goods, but they're trying to steal from her again. And I thought that was also a good through line throughout the movie.
Manipulated living.
Sure, fine, I give in. Whatever, you know,
Sure.
it's like I can only do
Okay.
so much is the
I think
thing.
you've beaten me down. I feel defeated.
Yes.
Okay. Should we talk about our dumb bitch award for this beautiful
Yes.
work of art?
Yes.
Who's got
Okay,
strong
I
feelings?
don't
Who
wanna
wants
go
to go
first,
first?
though.
I will go first.
Okay.
I am
lay it
going
on
to give
us.
my dumb bitch award to Patrick Swayze.
Mm.
Tell me more. I mean, obviously, a lot of it speaks for itself. Once again, we've got a predator who saw justice.
Yeah,
But
he's a pedophile. And one thing is, Donnie burns his house down. He's exposed as a pedophile. And what a dumb bitch. Why are you looking at kitty porn? Anybody that looks at kitty porn is a dumb bitch.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah, and that's
That
putting
is-
I'm ready
lightly.
to co-sign that.
That's putting
that
it
is-
lightly.
That's a hard statement that we here at Spooky Tuesday collectively believe.
Mm.
But at the very end, when Mad World is playing and all the manipulated living people that Donnie had contact with, you see like Frank touch his eye, you see the teachers like wake up and be like this when Donnie dies, and we see Jim sobbing. He is crying, and apparently in the director's cut he kills himself. So
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Good job.
Because that was one thing I was gonna say. Out of everything that happened with the ending, I was most mad. One, I was sad that Donnie had to die for everything to go back to normal. But then I was like, well, if Donnie dies, then no one exposes Patrick Swayze for the scumbag of the earth that he is. And I was like, that is not justice. But good to know that the director's cut did something about that. Jesus, so dark. I don't think I would have been able to handle that ending, honestly.
This is Scream 3's influence right here, though. Scream 3 came out 1 year before, and they said, guess what?
What?
Predator's gotta go.
Yeah,
That's all.
okay.
That's the what.
That's the what. Let's see. Who's my dumb bitch? I think my dumb bitch is gonna have to be Kitty Farmer. Just because her whole priorities are so far out of order that it's truly just disturbing. She's got some great one-liners, but she's fed by hatred, and I hate that about her. But I do love her commitment to Sparkle Motion, and she is in it to win it, so there's respect there, but she's still a dumb bitch at the end of the day.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I think that I will nominate the therapist maybe for the Dumb Bitch Award.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part she did an okay job, but there was one scene that really upset me, and once again, I am not a mental health professional, so maybe this was right and I'm wrong. But when Donnie was hypnotized and he was really freaked out about the world ending and the sky opening up, and she was just like, so what if that did happen? It would just be you alone with Frank and the end of the world. And I was like, okay, this feels like maybe you shouldn't be putting him in this headspace where he's like, I'm alone with Frank. I was like, what is she talking about? That she would just be like, no big deal. The world would end and it would just be you and Frank, this terrifying bunny who's got a messed up eye. Like, don't sweat it, baby. And that alarmed me. And I didn't like it.
I'm right with you
but
there.
I guess now that you guys have nominated your dumb bitches, I'm like, those are dumber and bitchier.
Yeah, the therapist is still pretty good at her job, but that was like big red flag. Just like, please
That was like a
guide
one dumb
him.
bitch moment.
Yeah, I'm like, please guide him away from the light and back towards safe thoughts instead of like being like, what if you're all alone and no one loves you anymore? Like, no.
Except for Frank.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Kitty is the biggest bitch and Jim is the biggest dumb.
Oh, so are we gonna split it? We're gonna do a little split ski?
Okay.
Well, TBH, I think Jim and Kitty go hand in hand.
That's
Two
true. A
sides
matching
of the
pair.
same coin, as they say.
Right? Because, like, one, they're both fucking hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Because, I mean, Jim is a pedophile predator, and Kitty, who is all moral high ground and yet is parading small girls to dance, like...
Yeah, I saw some like
provocatively.
Cutie's wishes. Like, do I want to get into
You
Cutie's discourse?
don't.
No.
No.
But
no.
So
You
they're
see where
kind
I'm
of
going.
they're and they both talk about fear and the love. Like, I think they are combined. So both of them
Mm,
are the dumb bitch.
Okay,
I'm with
I
you
am
there.
fully on board with that.
100% in support. Okay.
Dumb Bitch Award nominated, received.
Let's start with Chelsea because you just finished. What are your knives out of fives?
My knives out of fives. Actually, before we do knives out of fives, I would like to talk about some of my favorite quotes because just there were so many good moments throughout the film. And I thought the dialogue was so great at every opportunity. First of all, obviously the iconic "You're such a fuck ass" and "You can go suck a fuck." Well, please tell me, Elizabeth, how exactly does one suck a fuck? Like, just an incredible exchange, made all the more stronger, delivered by two real blood siblings who have surely said such things to each other in real life.
Do we know if
There's
those phrases were originated in this film? Because I say suck a fuck and fuck ass like a lot. And I just want to know if I got that from this subconsciously or through the grapevine, because that would make me feel cooler.
I feel like suck a fuck is from this for sure. Fuck ass, I think, is one of those things that probably was like spontaneously generated in many different points
Timeless.
over many different times.
Agreed.
There's also a moment, and I don't remember who said this because I didn't write it. Oh, it's the dad to the mom. After Donnie calls his mom a bitch, and Donnie's mom goes in and is like, "My son just called me a bitch." The dad is like, "You're not a bitch. You're bitchin', but you're not a bitch." And I was like, I also want a
love
T-shirt that
that.
says that.
I loved that. The dad was
I
a good
loved.
guy.
Yes, I loved when Gretchen said that her stepdad has emotional problems, and Donnie was just like, "Oh, I have those too. What kind?" I thought that was
That
great.
was so funny.
He's like, I have those too. I burnt down a house and I did this and I can't drive till I'm 21. And I was like, all right, we're going to give her it all at the very beginning so she doesn't have any questions about where things will go.
And
Yeah,
then-
he
but
just
she
was like upfront. I respect it.
I
and
love that.
when she was like, "Yeah, he tried to stab my mom 4 times," and then Donnie was like, "Ooh, I don't have those kind of emotional problems."
Yeah, I mean, I thought at first that she was honestly just like blowing him off, and it didn't sink in initially that she was just also being honest and upfront. But I appreciated their willingness to both just put it out there. I also loved at the end how once Donnie has died in the original timeline, now that we're back in the, what is it, Sydney? The primary universe?
Yes.
Now that we're back in the primary universe, I loved how the little neighbor kid said he got smushed by a jet engine. I just thought that was a delightful word choice to go with smushed.
It made it cuter instead of horribly tragic.
Also, obviously, Smurfette doesn't fuck, stands alone. You know what I
God-tier
mean?
Quote. Yeah, those are my favorite parts of the film, like just the little lines through it. Like when Rose, the mom, is like, "Do you even know who Graham Greene is?" when she's fighting with Kitty at the PTA meeting. And Kitty's like, "I think we've all seen Bonanza." And I was just like, I love
Monica-
a Bonanza reference.
Can you explain that one, though? Because we didn't get it, and I did see about it on... Oh, you didn't get it either? You just like a Bonanza reference?
She said Bonanza. I had no idea. I didn't get it at
Okay.
all.
I didn't enjoy that line because I was just like, I'm missing whatever reference is necessary here, and I don't have enough of a connection to Bonanza on its own. But apparently, the joke in that line is that there's somebody else named Green who is in Bonanza.
It's not funny because we don't get it.
Yeah, it was like it went just fully over our heads on every level. But I have it in my notes. Yeah, okay. When Donnie's mother, Rose, asks Kitty if she has heard of Graham Greene, she replies that she has since she's seen Bonanza. However, Kitty is getting him confused with Lauren Green, who appeared in the series. Like, that's the joke.
Because I was like...
Is it funny now?
It
Do
is
you
funny.
get-
It is funny.
Ah-ha.
I was just so excited for Rose to just absolutely slam Kitty's stupid face in the ground and be like, "You idiot." But then she was like so serious about saying the word Bonanza with such bite. That's why I love
With
it
such
so much.
verve.
Oh yeah, I was like, you know what? I trust her. So that's how she gets away with all this shit. She just says it with a lot of oomph, and you just roll with it. Okay, I think it's time we rate this bad boy. So, what are your knives out of 5s? Who wants to go first?
I will. I love this movie. I loved it when I was in middle school and had absolutely no idea what it was about. I loved it when I watched it 2 nights ago and really didn't know what it was about. I love it even more now that I've spent 7-8 hours researching about how to understand this movie. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5, just because I still don't fully understand it.
Even with all that work.
I still got more research to do, baby. Expect my notes.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Write a whole essay for us and we will share it on our socials.
Definitely, and I'll read it for sure. I promise.
There will be a quiz.
No, I won't.
There will be a quiz, Monica.
I will not. I will happily fail. I'm gonna give this one a very similar rating. I had a great time. There are just so many like people I didn't expect to see, like quotes like we said that were so good, and the overall story is just super fucking moving, even though it's not like scary in the same way. Like it was a big departure from Scream to watch something that is serious most of the time. But I loved it. So I'm gonna give this one a 3.9172. No rounding.
Okay. I also really enjoyed myself, even though I feel like I mostly got it by the time the movie was over. Like, could I explain time travel to somebody? No, but it's fine. I don't need to. They don't need to know. We're not gonna make it happen because none of us have our own spacecrafts, presumably. So it's just like not within the realm of possibility for us financially.
True. Big barrier there.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think like as long as you're enjoying yourself, you don't need to get it. Apparently, Seth Rogen and Jake Gyllenhaal didn't even get it. At the wrap party, they both said they had no idea what the movie was about. So I think they don't know, I don't know, we don't need to know. And I will also be giving it 4 out of 5 knives. So 4 knives out of 5 knives. How are we saying this? Because I'm fucking it up.
4 out of
again.
5 knives.
No, 4 knives out of 5s. It's knives out of 5s. I made it this way by design to torture you.
She did.
The spookiest part of this whole podcast. Just for a little, context for our ratings, I will say this movie did very well with critics and audiences alike. So we're kind of like on the same page with everyone, honestly. While we were like super out of tune with everybody on Scream 3, we gave it near 4s across the board. And on IMDb, it's got 8 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it had 86% fresh from critics and 80% fresh from audiences.
We're right on
so
the
I think
money.
we all agree, like, pretty good.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Pretty good, question mark. Not sure.
Pretty good?
What happened? I'm going to say pretty good because it makes me sound smarter. But it was really good.
This movie's fun to rewatch because you can, see it 800 million different ways no matter how many times you watch it.
Totally.
Okay, guys, and so that was our very, very smart and well thought out,
informative, educational
analysis of Donnie Darko. Next week, we are going to be talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the gay icon, Babadook.
Duke. I'm so excited for this shit. I love this movie.
I've never seen the Babadook.
I've only seen it once, and it was a while ago, so I do not remember it at all.
Ooh, your shit's about to get rocked, Chelsea. I'm so excited for you.
All I know is that internet meme where someone went to a Halloween party as an adult and they thought that they were all still doing costumes, so they showed up as the full Babadook and everybody else was just in like comfy clothes on the couch for a movie night. So that's my knowledge of the Babadook. It's that the Babadook is a gay icon and an iconic Halloween costume.
He also attended the 2016 Republican convention, so he's mostly.
What? I don't know what that means.
We'll get into it next week, but
Yeah,
there's a
You've
It's
now
just
put
a
some words
fucking
together that I
Babadook.
didn't expect.
we have to discuss the movie, and then we have to do a whole segment on the social discourse on the internet about it because it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Okay, guys, if you liked this conversation and if you like us, make sure to go like and follow. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher, and our social medias are at spooky_Tuesday.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.
Now, believe me, of all the other mothers, I would never dream of asking you, but none of the other mothers are available to go.
I don't know, Kitty. It's a bad weekend. Eddie's in New York.
Rose, I don't know if you realize what an opportunity this is for our daughters. This has been a dream of Samantha's and all of ours for a long time. I made her lead dancer. Sometimes I doubt your commitment to Sparkle Motion.